Hmm. Looks like we're live on Zoom. Let's go over here and yes, we are live on YouTube as well. Morning, everyone. No, not morning anymore. Well, it was going to be morning when I first started, and I've been recording all morning. So be on the lookout for some really new and quite interesting things that are about to be shared here on this channel and on Sassy or Sheila. And this is New Light Streaming Love. So if you are watching this live, it is on New Light Streaming Love. If you are seeing this on Sassy or Sheila, it is a recording after the fact, and but it will be over there today. Wow, is all I can say. The synchronicities that have been happening for me in less than 24 hours time, I really don't have the words for it, and I'm really hoping that I will have the opportunity to have a conscious conversation with the author of the recursion protocol. I have already released tier 1 of the recursion protocol, both here on New Light Streaming Love and on Sassy or Sheila. And so let me just share with you a little bit about how this all came about while I'm shuffling. As you might recall from the other day when I was doing a live and I stopped it midstream because Lisa was able to get to her endoscopy early, which now I've had a chance to feel into that as well. I think it was important that we did it earlier in the day rather than later because of the bleeding that was happening for her. And hopefully this week, and if not this week, it will be next week, Lisa will feel up to having the long awaited conscious conversation about her experiences with what is happening with her. And that way I can share all of my experiences with what has happened. I've shared a little bit with you guys, most specifically, most recently, about the readings, because here also, not what has been recorded this morning, but not uploaded yet to the channels, is the newest Astro Butterfly about the full moon in Scorpio, which is dun, 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 at 22 degrees. And the reason I said it like that is that if you were present for those two readings on Monday and on Friday, then you know that all the twos that have been around me for the last little bit are just uncanny. 222 appeared first. Then I got the card 2, the quest, in the reading on Monday. And I actually shared that on Monday. But when we left early, I felt nudged to leave that reading out so that I could finish it when I returned. Well, I didn't return because Lisa was put in the hospital, and I felt the absolute need to be present in the hospital with her. And so on Friday, once we had returned home, I did a live and completed that reading. And I shared in that reading that as we got to the hospital, the little girl behind the desk had a tattoo on her forearm that was 2022. happened to notice that because of all the twos that were in that reading from the cards that I had already pulled. Now, while in the hospital, I belong to a group on Facebook called the Ancient Order of Hermetics. It's a public group. You're free to search for it and join, and I highly recommend it. In that group, I found an author by the name of Jason Gray, who I knew I was to record his words. So I went to see if he was putting these posts on his own personal Facebook page. Because in a group is one thing, on a person's personal Facebook page is something completely different. And I didn't feel, because I did not find it there, I did not feel I had the right to simply record and share. So I reached out to him and I asked his permission last night. And he said to me last night, because he got back to me right away, that he had been thinking about having someone record his work. And that he would like to request that I start with what he had just posted. I went and looked, and he posted it at right about the same time I reached out to him, which had been only 54 minutes before we were chatting with each other. Now, you can say, oh, well, that's just a coincidence if you wanna, but I see something different. So, first thing this morning, I recorded that post. You will find it on this channel and on Sassy, Seer, Sheila, and New Light Streaming Love. Both channels have it. What I did not know when I recorded it was that it was approximately, well, what I saw was 22 minutes and 23 seconds. That's still an. And while I was recording the Astro Butterfly about the full moon in Scorpio, no turning back, on my phone, which I'm reading from, up pops a message from Jason saying, oh my God, twos are all over the place for me. And this video you recorded, which I have chills, goosebumps from your recording of my words, is very close to 2222. And that's when I realized, oh, I looked at it and I saw 2223. So there's so many. Oh, and by the way, the full moon in Scorpio is at 22 degrees, which I had just read when his message popped up on my phone. You'll see that if you go and look at that video later on. I haven't uploaded it yet, but it is recorded. And just as soon as I make the thumbnail after this live, that will be there for you to see. At any rate, something very exciting about all of this is happening for me personally. I feel with all of me that we've crossed over into something else. And wow, when you listen to the recursion protocol, you may feel the same. I don't know, maybe you won't. Now, let me also say that I said that I was going to be putting the words to that in the show more section of the video. Unfortunately, it's too long. YouTube wouldn't allow it. So Quinn J, good morning, sweetheart. I'm so glad to see you. And let me just say, I saw what you did in your yard. I saw your post about the flowers, and you have such a beautiful way of creating that beauty where you live. Good for you. I just love what you did there. And it was such a joy to behold that I wanted to say that to you. It's just beautiful. It made me smile. And I appreciate all the smile. So, at any rate, let me just say, I don't know, like I said, it's just very interesting to me, everything that has happened, all the synchronicities that are involved. Um, Ever since I started, I'm going to call it softening my gaze, okay, because there was a really huge think I know stuff whenever I thought I knew stuff, right? Um, and realizing that I know next to actually nothing, which I'm okay with. I really am. There's a lot of stuff I do know, or I think I know, I feel like I know, but I'm also being shown that it's very important for me to keep that mind open at all times, to knowing for certain that this focus, this focus of divinity into this realm was originally programmed and conditioned in such a way that I can't really trust even. Okay, so I trust what I get. Don't misunderstand this. But I've shared this before. I actually shared it again with a friend of mine in an email this morning. For those of you who have, Quinn said, thanks, dear. Haha, I just filled in the blanks. That's just one of my methods of gardening. Well, you garden beautifully. When I first started this quest of mine to find out just who and what we are as humanity, what I am, I promised to follow all my nudges and really get quiet and listen to that still small voice. Well, in 2017, not long after I started Conscious Conversation Central, those of you who followed me on that channel might remember this story. My husband of 28 and a half years and I parted ways. Because of my internal promptings, I was told by my inner guidance that my name, Corona, would be going viral, would become well known. 3 of the surrender cards popped out. And so, because I was going through a divorce, one day when my grown child and my husband were over to the house packing up his things, I asked both of them, because of the channel, I assumed that it was because of the channel that I would be going viral. And I asked them both, would you like for me to take back my maiden name? Because I've been told that I'm going to become viral. Again, this is what I heard, my perception. Well, that was in 2017. Fast forward to 2020. Conscious Conversation Central and Sheila Corona did not go viral, but Corona certainly did, didn't it? Nobody can argue that point. And I have maintained that I feel as though that happened exactly the way it did for me to be able to see that every one of us, not just me, every channeler on the planet, anybody and everybody receives information through a perspective perception filter that is made up of all your experiences while you've been on this planet. And a lot of them are programmed and conditioned. And so I had to learn how to soften my gaze and realize that I really don't know anything that I thought I might have known. And I have to keep it open and be willing to be shown, and to also be willing to see, sense, and feel that my perspective, my perception absolutely is distorted, as is every other human on this planet, because it comes through that perspective of all that has gone before. And I'll tell you, it's made my life a hell of a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable, because it's not really hard now for me to see things from a much more expansive position, more of a multi-dimensional position. And so, I don't know, very interesting. And as I said, just really interesting things happen. And these cards, I can't even with this reading this morning. Okay, so I also wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to any and all mothers out there. And I want to also say, my perspective on motherhood has changed quite a bit through all of this. I adore my child, and I call him my child. However, he actually isn't. He came through me. I mean, I gave birth to him. That's not what I mean. He is a divinity in his own right as well. We tend to view children as something, well, that's very interesting. Trust in magic is what fell out. Wow. Okay. And let me just say, I bought one of the beautiful trays that Crystal has for sale in the efforts to assist her. Don't forget, everybody. I know I haven't been talking about it a lot, but one of the collaborators of this channel, Crystal Hemphill, is having spine surgery on May the 19th. And I will be creating a GoFundMe account for her. While she does have a job, she won't be able to work, and she's a single parent. So she has lots of things. If you go to, I did a short video, which I will link in the show more section of this video, that shows you how to go to our website, newlightstreaming.love, and how to find the things that she offers, that she has created. And also, I'm going to be doing a GoFundMe, and I'll ask everybody to share that around, because she is a single homeschooling mother. And this channel is not monetized. And, nothing I ever do is monetized. So everything that comes in right now is all going to Crystal to help her while she is recovering from spinal surgery. Okay, so, I said all of that because the tray that I purchased from her has the ravens, and I always associate the ravens with the Morrigan, which is also it's an energy that I carry, the dark feminine, the I don't know how to explain it, but it's one of the energies that I carry. Okay, so and I think that I want to read that one first. Trust in magic. And trust me when I tell you, I do right now. I absolutely do. It has been the most gratifying, the most deliciously fun journey over these past 7, 8 years that I've been on this quest to find the truth of who and what I am. Trust in magic. Magic is the mysterious and coincidental. It is at the heart coincidental. I'm sorry. I don't believe in coincidence. And I think that's what this is saying, right? It's all synchronistic. The universe uses everything at its disposal to speak to me, to get my attention. I feel like it does it for all of us. It's just whether or not we're paying attention. It is at the heart of those moments of synchronicity and knowing. It is woven into the awareness that is more to life than what you see. It is born of that moment when you step without fear and with loving heart into the void. Voice your desire and have great spirit send his messengers to show you the way. Trust in magic. It is real and it surrounds you. Boy, I know that to be a fact. I really do feel that with all of me. Wow. This is going to be a really cool reading. I can just feel it. Okay, so who wants to go next? I think perhaps this one, Divine Discernment. This one's from the Hero's Journey Oracle. The Hero's Journey Dream Oracle. Divine Discernment. It's card number 13. Remember, the 13, while it's a 4 numerologically, which is all about foundation, I've also felt this number to be part of the divine feminine, the dark divine feminine. Divine discernment. Step back to find clarity. There's a quote here from Ernest Holmes. To the one who can perfectly practice in action, all things are possible. The message. Take a breather and honor your yin or feminine nature. This is not always easy to do in a culture that honors and celebrates the yang, the drive, strive mode, while turning up its nose at the virtues of the yin qualities of flow and letting go. In yang mode, we get things done. In yin mode, we fill our tank and reflect on our larger vision and purpose. So when it is time to move, we do so with precision. If we are to live in balance, we need both action and reflection. There are times to do and times for inaction. To know which mode is most appropriate, step back and practice discernment. Now, isn't that interesting that I just talked about the divine feminine and how I carry that energy through the Morrigan, who is represented always with the crow energy, crow, ravens, blackbirds. And here we are, and today is Mother's Day. How interesting is that? Again, it's all about synchronicity. There's the dream symbol of this card observer, it says. Dreams where you are the observer, which I found yesterday while meditating. It was, I was kind of in and out, how you do. And I was absolutely an observer. Dreams where you are the observer as opposed to being on the field of play and signify that you are watching your life from afar, gaining an objective perspective and considering the larger ramification of actions. Just say about how I'm noticing about myself that I tend to see things from a much more expansive position these days. You may have felt aloof on the roof. If that resonates, it may be time for you to risk taking a more active role in your life. However, if that isn't the case, this dream may be revealing a strategy of how to access greater wisdom and mindfulness by stepping back, watching the parade roll by, so you can join in with gusto when the time is right. There is a mantra associated with this card. Divine discernment lets me know when to go, when to stop, and when to drop into the space in between. Wow, I love that. I love this card too. Look how pretty that is. And it looks to me like the very next card that wants to come out is from the Journey of Love, and it too is a very feminine looking card. I mean, the card says she loves. Isn't that interesting? Card number 61, that is a 7 numerologically, which always speaks to divinity for me. I've always felt that 7 kind of resonates divinity in many ways. She loves. Forgiveness is here for you now. Can you partake of it? Forgiveness for your own self, for the times you messed up, didn't love, forgot to trust, tried to take over, and decided against surrender, which I've done a lot in my life. Trust me when I tell you that. Forgiveness is here for you now for the times when you couldn't forgive another, even if you really tried and really wanted to. She loves. She is here for you now. Open your heart to the angel goddess of forgiveness and let her fill your heart. You are free. This oracle brings you a message from the divine. You are forgiven. You are worthy of forgiveness and you are capable of great spiritual generosity in forgiving others. If there is a person that you cannot forgive, you are really just not forgiving yourself, perhaps for being vulnerable, for not, quote, knowing better, or for not listening to your own intuition. There's been many times that that has been at the core of where I feel I either couldn't forgive or I was mad or whatever. When I really got down to examining the situation, it was me that I was the most angry with, not the other, but me for allowing myself to be in that position or whatever that is, whatever the case may have been. It's time to let that go and allow forgiveness that the divine has for you to fill your heart. You are free now. You just need to realize it. The cherry blossom knows when to bloom each year and never questions whether its beauty is enough. There is peace in knowing you always bloom. Yet man spends a lifetime in wonder. Wow. Again, awful lot of feminine cards for today. being Mother's Day, which I find also quite coincidental. Okay, so the surrender cards that came out, there were three of them. Surrender to prayer. Give yourself over completely to prayer. When you pray from your heart, you will be heard throughout the universe, and answers and support will arrive. Now, I used to, the moment I heard the word prayer, I would shut down because I used to have a chip on my shoulder where religion was concerned, and I always associated the word prayer with religion. That's no longer true for me. I see, and I actually see, I'm beginning to treat my entire life like a prayer. So that's very interesting that this one come forward today because I do know that that's a true statement. Surrender to trust. Trust yourself and your decisions. Don't be swayed by other people's strong opinions about what to do. Take action and be confident that you have chosen the right path. And that's easy enough to do, isn't it? When someone who's very confident comes along, and especially when we think of authorities, right, who went to school for this, that, or the other. And well, they must know because they spent all this money to get this learning. What I now know about all that is that that's nothing more than listening to what you're told and memorization. It's not true knowledge. There is quite a difference. And these authorities who have all the letters after their name, they're really good at taking tests. And I don't see that as anything other than indoctrination, to be honest with you. I mean, I take into consideration that perhaps they might know something, but I certainly don't put them in discernment anymore. I did that for a very long time. I spent 10 years at death's door because of it. So, surrender frustration. Frustration doesn't open any doors. The key to resolving a dilemma, resolving a block, is to take a breath, center yourself, and regroup so you may approach the situation more calmly. That's true. And I'm being shown right now. Back when I was first learning this for myself, I was having some computer problems. And I was so frustrated. Nothing was going anymore now. When something like that is occurring, I say, okay, it must not be time to do that. So I'll put it down and go my merry way and do something else and come back later because that is the way of it. Okay, so of the three cards we have left, it looks to me like I'm feeling the Alchemy Elementals is the one that wants to go next. It is card number 51, which is a 6 numerologically, all about love, harmony, and balance. And it is sky, lightning, star on page 67, which is a 13, I believe. 67. Sky, lightning, star. You've been shining bright like the amazing lit leader. Oh, wow. I forgot. Oh, I hope. Man, I keep forgetting to pull this over. I guess I'm going to have to make sure that The recordings I've done today, you can hear. So was anybody here? And I bet you can hear me better now, can't you? Quinn, are you still out there? Quinn J? Did you tell me? Were you able to hear me before? Oh my goodness. This is so embarrassing. You would think I would figure this out. I got to remember to pull this microphone over. Okay, well, there's nothing I can do about it. We're just going to press on. You've been shining bright like the amazing lit leader of legacy that you are. Your gifts and your essence and your expression are having a powerful impact on those around you. The path you walk may not be easy, my love, but it is a path of honor and integrity. That's kind of interesting because my friend actually said something about my integrity this morning in an email. So that's kind of interesting to me. Personally, I feel like if you don't stand in your integrity, you have not very much to stand on. I just too bad at first, good now. Thank you, Mark. Ugh, that's what I was afraid of. Okay, well, that means I need to re record those other things. Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, that's all right. I'll do it. I know it must be done. The purity of your heart and the impeccability of your spirit radiate forth as a shining example for your community. Your tribe wants to honor you for all the inspiration and beauty you radiate and reflect. The spirits want to bless you with opportunities and with doorways to abundance. Let yourself receive these gifts. That's another synchronicity because I received an unexpected gift, and also my housemate was speaking on gifts and learning how to be open to receiving them. Just this morning, just before I came in here. Let yourself receive these gifts. Avail yourself of rewards and surprises that reflect your greatness. Well, that's quite lovely, isn't it? Yeah. That is something that, of course, I have historically had, a bit of a challenge with receiving. But I am getting much, much better at that. So the Divine Animals Oracle wants to go next. Card number 34, and it is tiger. And the key word for this is will. Exercise your will and determination in ethical ways. Do not place your will over another's. You do not have control over anyone but yourself. Boy, that's a true statement. There's no waking people up either, by the way. That doesn't work either. All we might do is further damage or traumatize them. So I just anymore, I just realize that uh, all I am capable of doing is working on me. Now, my field emanates, and because we are all one and singular all at the same time, well, what is done for one is done for the all, and makes it that much easier to, you know, end up helping someone else, and that someone else can have access to that. So do not be afraid to be fierce, especially as a woman. We can ride our healthy anger, but we must eventually transform it into something more useful. The mythos. Durga came riding into people's lives on the back of a snarling tiger. She was a warrior and carried weapons. to subdue and destroy. Yet her face was serene and calm. It was the evils of life she was after, the false illusions, the damaging rage, the petty jealousies, greed, and anything that the will may choose to harm. Hindu goddess Durga is the embodiment of the powerful feminine energy of Shakti, and she wields it mightily to make the way clear. She protects the natural order of nature and the nature of the self. She rides her tiger to preserve the will we have towards what good we can do and towards subduing the negative parts of our will that we may wish to place upon others, so we are not controlled by these impulses. She swings her 8 arms and destroys what is evil. Not only does Durga grab the tiger by the tail, she rides it. The animal, one of the most recognizable animals on earth due to their markings. Tiger is part of the Panthera genus. Tigers are the largest of the big cats, and even tigresses are capable of taking down prey in excess of their own body weight. Tigers are found in Russia, Asia, and India, with the largest populations in the latter. They are diurnal, carnivorous hunters, eating small to medium prey such as antelope, pigs, monkeys, and deer, and sometimes birds and fish. They tend to be binge eaters and consume huge amounts of flesh, up to 30 kilograms in one setting. They are good swimmers. Tigers are territorial and range over very big territories, enjoy a variety of habitats. This has become a problem as most tigers now live in countries where populations of humans is dense and their habitat has been much reduced. Tigers have been known to kill and eat humans, but usually occurs when they are being hunted by humans. The magic. Tiger magic is wild and mysterious. It is the energy we can use to counter jealousy, threat, and rage. It is highly protective and helps us find a more resourceful way to deal with difficult situations and people. Tiger magic is feminine in aspect, and women can use it to help them gain confidence and to find their healthy fierceness. The symbology are stripes, glowing eyes in the dark, woman riding a tiger. The status. There are currently less than 4,000 tigers in the world. They are critically endangered. Oh my. Okay, so our final card is from the Fairies Oracle. And what we have here is Tabira of the Waters, card number 37. So let's find card number 37 here. She's part of the Fairy Guides and Guardians. So, Tabira of the Waters. The key words for Tabira are emotions, serenity, meditation, gracefully accepting change. For a moment, close your eyes and just let yourself feel the cool, sparkling fairy waters flowing through your fingers. Imagine drinking this sparkling coolness from your own cupped hands, and imagine the water flowing down your throat. You may even be able to feel that magical energy-filled coolness flow right through you to your toes. Ah, feel better. Throughout the world, there are healing wells, both for general health and specific ailments. In modern times, many of their fairy qualities have been diluted, even though Tabira and her healing helpers do all that they can to keep them clear and potent. Fairy waters uh, reflect the emotional state of the human people around them. So the fairy waters that come through to our world have lessened impurity and power in places where people are living especially stressful, quote, civilized lives. What I will share with you in regards to what I've learned about water is that apparently water absolutely has memory. I learned a lot about that when I first started learning about water in general, because water absolutely saved my life. I was critically dehydrated, so much so that I had lost 4 inches in height over a 9 year period. I know a lot of people could think, how does that work? And that's a big, long story that will be told eventually. But the truth of it is that water does have memory. And I started realizing that when I thought about how water gets to me, it everything that it goes through is completely unnatural, and then it passes underneath the ground in pipes that maybe even underneath houses where people are yelling and screaming at each other. If you've never heard of Masaru Emoto's work or Veda Austin, I highly recommend that you take a look into those two beings and their work in regards to water and what they have found in their experiments. This is highly interesting, and I can tell you that our bodies are supposed to be 75 to 80% water at all times, which it's not. Most people are walking around dehydrated on the planet and don't even realize it. And so it's a really big deal about water. As one Oracle group member observes, there are profound connections with drinking water, tears, wells of forgiveness, water as the fluid of transforming nutrients in the body, the connecting flow. I could flow on and on, but I'll stop. However, the many healing fairies who help Tabira do the best they can under the circumstances to purify the waters, and they try to maintain their own merry spirits to give added power to the waters. We can help the fairies by creating more merriment in the lives of others and in our own lives. I have found that blessing my water and just spending a few moments sending love to my water before I consume it has been very helpful. In addition to the healing wells, there are wells and springs that bestow wisdom or skill upon the drinker, like the famous Hippocrene fountain on Mount Helicon, which bestows poetic inspiration. I suspect it of being a fairy fountain because of the way it works. If you have one drink, you gain a certain level of poetic ability. Another draught brings you more, and the third brings you to the full flower of poetry. The reason the world is not overrun with magnificent poets is because, first, it is very difficult to find the spring, and second, the water packs such a wallop that most people stagger off after a single drink or two, and you only get one chance at the spring. There are also fountains of youth, like the one on Dun Eye, the highest hill on Iona, a magical isle on the west coast of Scotland. I looked and looked for this fountain, but didn't find it. I shall have to try again the next time I'm there, because I am much more in need of it now than I was all those years ago. Water is mutable, changeable fluid, and Tabira speaks to us of a particular kind of change, change of emotions, and possibly a change in health. We have important choices to make about how we meet those changes and where we let them take us toward the calm, flowing purity of the fairy waters or the boiling cauldron of hot temper and steamy emotions. The choice is obvious, but we sometimes forget that we have it. Tabira reminds us that we do have a choice, and making it wisely or unwisely determines our future. The things we need in life remain constant, no matter what is going on or how hectic the changes and pressures in our life may be. We need nurturing and love, and it is ultimately up to us to provide that for ourselves. The healing fairies will help us if we ask them to. Wow. Well, I know why that was the last one to be read, because as I said, I've had my own journey with water. Mark is saying water is a major factor. We could go on for hours, and I do know that that's true. Vanessa, I'm so glad that you were able to join us. Happy Mother's Day to you as well. And I'll echo your sentiment for all the moms out there. And I kind of started to say this before, but I'd like to finish in regards to just what you said to all the mothers out there. There will be moms whose children are that they are estranged from their children on today, as I am from my son. I want to say this because someone said to me today when they wished me Happy Mother's Day, she said, I know it could be hurtful to hear that. And it really isn't. And I'll tell you why. Yes, I gave birth to this man who is my child. However, he is a divine being in his own right as well. And this was an agreement between two souls. And the way I look at it for myself, where parenting is concerned, ours is to gently guide. Unfortunately, I wasn't awake during his childhood, and he got loaded up with the programming and conditioning that most of us all got loaded up with. And I'm certain there's a lot of generational trauma, which look out for a post about that, a video from Jason Gray that I will be recording talking about generational trauma that I just know with all of me is correct. Something that Lisa and I have talked a lot about in just these last few months here, specifically since she's been going through what she's been going through. Again, the synchronicities with this man's writings coming into my life right now are just too delicious and rich to even know, right? So I would invite any mother who feels sad because they're not hearing from their child today to realize that this has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them and where they are on their own personal journey. I'm very well aware of that for myself. And I wanted to share that because it can be a little hurtful in some ways if the only perspective one is seeing is that, well, my child isn't even reaching out to me. It's Mother's Day and I'm not hearing from him. But I don't look at it like that for myself. I see another being in quite a bit of pain himself. I see another divine being struggling with his inner and his outer. And I don't want to add to that struggle my feelings of, oh, you're not paying attention to me, because that's not important to me. So I don't know if that's helpful at all, or if anybody can feel what I'm trying to convey. But that's the truth of it for me. Um, I know that it's because of where I am in my personal journey. My field is very prickly for him. And I know that with all of me. And I don't want to prickle his field. That's certainly the last thing I would want to do. And it's for him to choose how to proceed on his journey. My job of bringing him into this world is absolutely complete. He's over 40 now, and he's a great guy. He just doesn't know it. And he's lost in his own struggle with who he is and what he's moving through, just like everybody else on the planet. And having a mom who is becoming very knowledgeable of her own journey and knowledgeable of the programming and conditioning that I installed in him is not an easy thing for him to see either. And so I don't know why I wanted to share that, but I felt called to share that today, being Mother's Day and all. So if you have a child from whom you are estranged, kind of feel into that for yourself and realize that it's not, parenthood is not what we've been told. It's not exactly what how I was raised to believe it is on any sort of level. And I know that now with all of me. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. Like I said, I am so excited about this new author. I have many, many, many short videos coming. I will be recording the second and third tier of the recursion protocol by Jason Gray today, and they will be on both channels later on this afternoon. The first thing I have to do is go and listen and make sure that you can hear me for the first one, because if you can't, I'm going to take it down and I'm going to redo it. So, but I have a lot coming from him, and it is my hope that he will come and join me for a conscious conversation, that so you guys can meet him and we can hear all about how it is that he is coming to write these things. Because mind blown, folks, mind absolutely blown. So until we meet again, I hope that you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It truly is just a matter of your perspective and your perception of that perspective. And if you're not feeling joy, perhaps stepping back and seeing if you can look at it from a different angle is what is actually called for. Until we meet again, be well, my friends.